Of course. So we'll, and it's still few technical problems, but hey, you have to remain calm in these situations. It's like the airplane that flipped upside down. You just got to stay in your seat and just work out with it. That's all I got to say. So, welcome everybody. I am excited today. You're seeing history in the making as I pull the bus out and as we begin to set out on what's going to be a delightful adventure. So everyone strap in, enjoy this, get a hot beverage or a cool one. It's really your choice. So, but again, I want to say thank you. Speak favor over us all. As we say here, nothing missing, nothing broken. Why do we say that? Well, because if you've got nothing missing, nothing broken in your life, you're in a good place. That's all I got to say. So, I have two special people with me that um, it's odd because we've spoken over the years, but we've really never seen each other over the years. And by the way, folks, what you're seeing here, this couple, I think this may be like the second time they've ever been live. So
First time on the camera showing ourselves
there we go.
together.
So without any further ado, I have Mike and Cindy from Evolutionary Energy Arts. How are y'all doing? And thank you so much. What an honor to have y'all. I feel like this is truly one of those manifestations of where persistence pays off.
Yes, divine timing.
Yes, I like
Divine
that.
timing. Yeah, well, namaste. It's awesome to be here. We're just excited to share time and space with you, and it's been years, literally years in the making.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. I think that we do have already a bigger family in place. Between our family and your family, it's just one big family when you get down to it, of people on this quest and this fun journey.
Right. Speaking of family, I think a lot of us are kind of misfits in our own family, but it's the friends that we make are the family we choose for ourselves, and we should really hold on to that because what we run into a lot is people don't have anyone to talk to when they have a different belief system, and they're very lonely. They're very lonely. So when we do find someone we can connect with, I think that should be treasured.
Yeah, yeah. Isolation is really bad. That's the thing about technology. It at one time it opens up the world to you, but at the other time it can really paint you into a box. And
Mhm.
loneliness. What was it I heard in the stages of depression? You go through loneliness is one of them. Begin to get into where you're discouraged, and then you become oppressed. And when you become oppressed, you become depressed. And if you continue with that, you'll become possessed.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you think about what we went through back in 2020,
Oh,
yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
and it's we realize now just, and this is just from my point of view as an occultist, that was some powerful magic that was cast upon the world. And it came through the venue of the political side of the spectrum that is one of the major control systems. But wow, that jacked with us. And I still don't think most people have actually recovered from that.
No, it was interesting when it very first came out. The one thing that I picked up is that it was a parasite. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a parasite, and people were being infected by it. So
Mm.
naturally, we moved in the direction of telling people you want to be cleansing in every way, shape, or form, and mind, body, breath, diet, everything, because that was my initial impression was of a parasite is what they gave it energy to infect us, and here we are.
Yeah, yeah. We're still reeling from the effects of it. Um, I see it from at the time, I still knew a lot of people that were in the mainstream Christianity. And I've been on the record to say this, that that event is, it caused one of the largest fractures in the religion itself, and the religion it's not recovered from it. I don't know if it is. I mean, it's like today I read uh the Pope, he said that he's dying.
Hmm.
So this is going to be another event in 2025, which has already been anticipated as one of the major events, one of those major years. And boy, are we seeing some changes. I mean, every day we wake up to new changes.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an eye opener, and the eyes are still being opened. And it was interesting with Cindy. We were in Nevada at the time, and a lot of people just didn't know how to take this. I mean, is this the end of the world? Well, kind of was the end of the world as we knew it, because it's never gone back to that old paradigm, and there's no way it could. You can't put that cat back in the box. It's just not going to happen. Yet at the same time now, boy, we are learning. So a lot of people are learning more than they ever wanted to learn about the details of the control matrix. But it has to happen. It just has to happen in order for for humanity to awaken and strive for better.
Hmm.
And it was, um, Cindy, from, because a lot of people don't know this, is that you connect to the other realm. To
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Uh,
do. Yeah, shaman. I consider myself a shaman. It runs in the bloodlines, and I've picked it up, and I had some things happen in my life that were really incredible, and now here I am. So here we are.
Yeah, she
I
has a
see
lot.
that, 2020 particularly, is that from my perspective, the veil was rent at that point. And because those 4 years, I can look back now and it's like it was yesterday, but so much gnosis was coming forward, so much knowledge from so many different directions. And it was like the vast majority of people that, when we gather together, because I think pagans, that's what we've done. We've done that throughout, history. We're simple country folk for the most part. We use common sense more than anything else. Well, that's magic. Yeah, it is. But
Yeah.
um, I I think something spiritually happened as well. I'm convinced of it. Either one paradigm was uh, dying out, and a new one was emerging, and I think that that's where we are. We're still in the midst of saying, well, what really happened?
Mhm. Mhm. They needed to close our crown chakra. It was opening. It was a problem. People were really expanding in the heart chakra, crown chakra, understanding, and to bring this in. And when you are in a state of disruption and a state of fear, you cannot grow spiritually. So
Mhm.
at that time, there was waves of energy coming through us, through our sun, bringing loads of information, and they had to put a halt on it. And here we are. So
Yeah.
that's what I saw that happened.
And I was born connected, and it's not changed. I mean, I was versed with the ethereal realm before, but it's more alive to me now.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's not just merely words on a book or a page, or a construct of my imagination. It's tangible in many cases.
The conversation that we have with the ether, the conversation with when we go out into the world, the trees, the birds, just everything. There's this huge conversation going on, and we can mostly only understand that through one aspect, and that's through our voice. But there's so much information, data coming inside of us to connect with the natural world that really bothers them, because once we reconnect with the natural world, that puts us in a place of power, and they can't have that. So they're going to take every technology that there is, and they're going to try to disrupt it. So that's what I see with most people. They are understanding how connected they are to the natural realm, and how much this conversation, how important this conversation is between their pets, the trees, the food that they eat. You know, I'm one who I converse with everything. So I did a video the other day with, because I make yogurt, you know, it's fairly simple, but I talk to it the whole time I'm doing it. And and I have these tuning forks and I tune it to the tune of love. So this
Fantastic.
is just my world. You know, I have these crystals all around me today because they wanted to help. They wanted to come and support me because they know I'm very nervous.
Well, I can't tell. I don't think
Okay.
anybody else can either. I mean, you seem very natural.
Okay.
How odd, because you just talked about tuning forks, and so, you know, this is where I keep mine for that same purpose, you know. It's like,
Right?
yeah, because it
Awesome.
works,
Nice.
you know?
Yeah, it works.
It really
Yeah,
It
does.
really does.
it's like, yeah. So I'd like y'all, if you would, take as much time as you want. Tell us about your journey. How did you arrive where you are now? Because, you know, and this is what life has taught me. I'll be 70 in June, and I still feel like I'm that kid, but that's all right. I just tell people I'm in my older youth. Um, no matter where you are, you most likely have paid a price
Yeah.
to get to that place. And I always find it not only interesting, but I can identify many times when I hear other people's journey because I realize, wow, you said something earlier, Mike, it's the destination. How we get there is really the excitement.
Mhm.
So tell us about yourself and who is Mike and Cindy?
Well, I think what should we start with, like how we met or how we got together, or
Well, the way we met was she was Sassy Susie,
I
who was one of like the
I
people that,
remember that.
yeah, yeah. She never
Here I am.
missed. She never missed any of the videos, and she was
Well,
honestly like one of my favorite people, commenting all the time. And so she just asked if I would do long distance teaching with her
I
and
had a
instruction.
tumor. I had a couple of tumors, and honestly, for 5 years before I met Mike, my face was half of my face was paralyzed, and I really struggled with that because I couldn't really speak. I couldn't do a lot of things. It was just paralyzed because I had tumors, and they had to
Wow.
go in and do some major surgery. And in that major surgery, there was nerve damage, and I was looking for ways to heal myself because there was a lot of trauma tied to that 5 years of looking at
Yeah.
your shoes because you don't want to face people. Um, there was a lot of trauma, so I needed the physical mind, body, spirit, everything, and I felt it in him. The very first session was so incredible. Like, I mean, it just felt like he was stirring paint all over my body. And from the time I met him to now, I have a lot of this back. So here I am. But I'll let him finish how he did that.
Well, through energy work. And so she had that because she had a tumor and they literally removed part of her skull in order to operate on it. And she didn't want to go through that again because she discovered she had another tumor. And she was wondering if she could learn energy work, which we started with distance teaching. And then we progressed to me working distance wise on her tumor, just, sending energy and visualizing it going. And it did, it disappeared. Now, then after we had gotten together, we were living in little town, Nevada, about 2 hours north of Vegas, and she was getting some pain in her ear. So she went to the local doctor, and another tumor had developed. And they were going to send her into Vegas to a specialist. This was on like a Monday. So they made the appointment, I think, for Thursday with the specialist. And in the meantime, I ran energy in person. And what was nice for me was I asked the doctor there in the office, can I look with your, little scope there and see it for myself? And, she was like, sure, sure. So I looked, I had great visualization of it. And then I ran energy for the next days. And when we went to see the specialist, the doctor looked and said, well, they must have been wrong because there's nothing wrong here. It's so that the tumor had gone for the second time.
Mm-hmm.
So once removed one in person, once removed one distance wise. And in reality, gosh, how many like cysts and tumors and things like that have we removed over the years, or really enable somebody to allow the higher self and their guides really to do the work? Because again, energy work too is channeling. So, you get in this receptive state when I'm doing it. I just ground myself into the earth and then just open up the crown chakra and just let the energy flow. I breathe it in. I could, send it any way I want. I could send it through one finger. I could send it through the palm. You could send it from chakra to chakra. And so I've helped a lot of people with things like this, even things that were said to be inoperable. I had one lady with a huge goiter, and she was tall and thin, and she had this gigantic goiter on her throat, making it so she couldn't swallow. And I worked on her. Now, her I had to work on for about 6 weeks, Tuesday and Thursday for an hour each time, but it went away. It went totally away. And when she went to see her doctor said, "Wow, I don't even see a scar," because he had told her to have it taken out. And she said, "Well, I didn't have it taken out, and that's why there's no scar." And he just had no understanding or explanation for how you could do that. So it's not everybody that will necessarily get those type of things. It has to do with what your higher self has planned for you, as well as truly accepting it, and being willing a lot of times to let things go. Because a lot of times when we have health issues, it's higher self saying, there's something in your life you have to let go of. Because typically disease is stuck energy, stuck emotions, unless we're being hit with something big, like obviously if you're around something radioactive, that's not good. Toxins that we are exposed to will overload us if we're not detoxing and doing everything that we can do. But often, you could miracles. This is an age of miracles. This is what we should expect at this point in time.
When did you realize you had the gift of healing? Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, in reality, probably not till about 12, 13 years ago, because I worked on a naturopathic doctor who then immediately hired me. So she had been to a bunch of different energy healers and was never able to feel the energy. But in this case, she felt it and convinced me. She's like, "You need to just do this full time, stop what you're doing, because you have a gift." And it was an eye opener, because I didn't necessarily think that you can make a living at this, but it's something that if you are successful, then word of mouth. It just, before you know it, you're so busy, and you have all the
Throughout
people you
history,
know.
healers have always been prosperous because of the gift. And the realm that we are is a realm that has divided peace. That's disease. And because it puts us at dis-ease. And it's interesting because I sense the dynamic of the two of you really provide a very powerful conduit that I get it. I mean, I can really see why the two of you connected. I mean, yeah.
It was a connection that was like two magnets, and there was absolutely no keeping us apart, because he was on one end of the country, I'm on the other end of the country, and we made it work. And because it was so strong. It was so strong.
18 days.
We had 18 days apart, and I got really sick. I got physically sick.
Wow.
Yeah, it was not good. It was a very bad situation. I just continued to go downhill because I had flown back to my home, and I woke up that night and I didn't even know where I was. My soul was still with him. And I was thinking, this is not normal. I went through a lot of things. I also went through a Kundalini awakening, which was really wild. I had this experience it was about 6 or 8 months this went on, of feeling this type of ecstatic joy, this constant joy. And there was nothing that could happen that would make me sad, which was a little disturbing, honestly, because I didn't have the finesse that Mike has been doing Qigong. So when you have a Kundalini awakening, you want it to go smooth. You want the energy work. So I had so much trauma from, like I told you, past relationships, my face. So when I had it, it's like my energy has this huge expansion, yet there were still things I hadn't worked out. And those things started to kind of eat away at me, and I had to address them really fast. So I do worry about people with that on energy work, that they might rise up too fast, too quickly, and they don't have the tools to cope with things. I'm so lucky I was with him, because he helped guide me through it.
Well, it's 30 plus years of Qigong practice. So I've done Qigong since I was like in my teens, pretty much. It's just natural for me, but I don't have like the vision that she has. So her vision is amazing. She could spot little things. You know, she's really like a medical intuitive, is definitely what she is, but she's even way more than that.
Did y'all have any kind of religious background in your upbringing, or was it pretty much,
I was brought up Catholic,
okay?
but really my parents never pushed it on me, because I think the upbringing for my father was traumatic, so he didn't want to do that to me.
In name only, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, but I was always curious. So I was the one dragging my mother to, one church after another, and I've gone through every religion. I've, been in Hindu temples, Jewish temples, Wiccan circles, all sorts of different things.
Have
Explored
you found
magic.
any commonality, Mike, and all that? Because that's a remarkable journey. I mean, many people don't have that opportunity to be exposed to those different theologies.
Mhm. Well, at the core, obviously, there's like that unity and love, and fellowship is wonderful, and that's what a lot of people go to. I went to a Lutheran church for quite a while, even long after I gave up the dogma, just because the people were great, and it
Hmm.
was, nice to have meals with them, and just, the fellowship side of it without the dogma. Cindy has a very strong Native American background with her, and her dad was also very gifted. And it was interesting because your dad wanted you. Her dad was like, you got to learn Tai Chi. So, her background is different than mine, but I just find it kind of amazing that we both were thrown into Qigong and Tai Chi at a
Cindy, is
young
there
age.
any royalty in your bloodline?
There's a separation. My father, I would say, I don't know about royalty, but my father was very, very gifted, and he tried to teach me who I was without telling me who I was, because he couldn't allow for things to be said. There was
Shamans are the highest of royalty.
well, I have a feeling my father did
Yeah.
what he did, but he also was really afraid that I would be picked on because I was
Targeted.
different, targeted.
Mm.
So he taught me Tai Chi at a very young age. He played with energy around my body, and he would put his hand over my knee, and I would laugh and laugh and laugh because it was like he's tickling me, but it was his energy. It was really
Fantastic.
wild. Yeah. And
Oh,
you know, there was they did take my father into the military at a very young age at 16, and they also took my father from his family at a very young age. So there was a breakup, but he's very Native American, and there's no mistaking that. But he couldn't talk about his family. He gave me such limited information, I think,
You
to keep me protected in some way.
Yeah, I think it was probably witness protection or something along those lines. So, on that end, he had even told her, "You'll never know your background, your true background, because he will never tell her."
Yeah.
Are you sensing something?
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we could talk about that another time, because I would love to know. My father won't.
It's
He
all
can't
over
tell
you.
me.
I mean, it's what yeah. We'll talk later, but yeah,
Cool.
I can see it.
Mhm.
And and the fact that, Mike, with your gift of healing and how you've developed it, it's, you know, I come from a different path, but it's the same direction that, we believed in back in my days in my religion was that, you know, anyone could lay hands on someone, but there were those who had an anointing, a gifting of healing. And the energy is different because, and I see it in you. I really can. I get it that no matter where the root starts, it's how it develops into the core of the tree.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
that's what I see here. And it's pretty cool. It really is.
Mhm.
Yeah, it works really well together because, like I was saying, the things that maybe I can't get as clear, she brings amazing focus and
So,
clarity too.
yeah, I don't have the book reading part, but when somebody asks me, can you tell me who my guides are and who's around me? I'll pick up an angel and I'll explain the colors, what it looks like, and he'll know. He'll know. He said, well, that's so and so, you know. So it works like that. It's very helpful. And um,
I'm
it's
glad to
it's a
know this. I'm going to put you on my Rolodex,
well, we'll definitely play. Yeah, well, you have quite a few guides and angels. I'll tell you that now.
Do I really?
Yes, sir, you do. It's very
Curious.
busy
I'd be curious to
around you.
hear more on that sometime.
Okay. You can, we can do that at some point.
Well,
Yeah.
good. So the other thing I love about your channel is that you give a daily and sometimes more, but a, you have this ability to see into the key events that are taking place and present them out. Uh, how do y'all do that? Because, it's a gift again, and it's one that I find that I become dependent on because you, in essence, become kind of like a news source.
Mhm.
Because if y'all are saying about it, then I got no problem with it. It's like I can add it to my knowledge.
Yeah.
I've always been an information junkie and nonstop reader. So, like what Cindy's alluding to, so I'm the person that is kind of like a walking encyclopedia in many ways. When I was a little kid, I used to just read almanacs at like 8 years
He
old.
interviewed his mother. He was so cute.
Well, too, my mom was an avid historian. I mean,
Oh,
she was
really?
so into it. So we would have discussions sometimes to the wee hours of the night about things.
Oh,
Um,
how that's a gift, brother. I just got to tell you. My mother put me in a mental institution, chased me with a butcher knife. I'd have loved to have the history part.
Yeah.
And then what Cindy gets is the intuitive side of it. So it works so well together. But I remember being a little kid and thinking, as long as I know everything there is to know before I pass on, you know, that I'll be happy. I just have to know everything. I got to discover all the secrets and the guides, the angels, or whoever you want to term it. They brought her into my life, which has been the biggest blessing that could possibly be because, man, that which I don't know from studying or my own intuition, which is good, but it's not like hers. I could just ask her, what do you see? And then, it's just so much of the time a perfect confirmation for what I had been figuring something to be leading to. So yeah, it's wonderful. It's exciting.
You're truly a
Besides,
blessed man. I mean, you really are. I don't know too many men who have actually, connected to an actual priestess, but
Oh, well, thank you.
you know,
you're right. You're right. Yeah,
seriously, yeah, yeah.
she does have a lineage that goes back to ancient Egypt, I believe.
Well,
It's like
you know,
all over you, man. It's just
well,
everywhere.
when I was a little girl, I had quite a few friends, and in my world, the friends looked just as solid as Mike looks to me right now. So I never asked anybody about anything because I'm
Oh.
thinking everybody can see. And when I think I was around 23 or 24, I asked my dad. I said, Dad, whatever happened to my friend Jerry and whatever happened to his parents and all those other kids at the house? And he looked at me and he says, sweetheart, you had no friends. And my jaw dropped because I was
Say
thinking,
what?
because yeah, I'm like, of course I did. And again, that at that point,
They were
life happened and I just forgot about it because I was kind of taken back. So when I got back into the energy realm, I
But
realized
he's your
that,
guide back to that place that you have forgotten about.
what's that?
I said I see him as your guide back to that place where you've forgotten about.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah, you do. I've gotten that before, and it's
Because it's
something
like
that.
coming in really loud, it's like, yeah,
Sorry. Yeah. Oh, good. Well, good.
yeah,
I think, I had to remember because a lot of
yeah.
children have these gifts, and I do work with moms that have children who are very gifted, star seeds, and they're not sure what to do because they don't want to take them to a psychiatrist, psychologist. You really don't want to do that with a star seed. I cannot give medical advice, but I do talk to moms. And the thing is children go through puberty, and that's like one of the veils. And another veil that hits them is just life. Life happens, so they don't want to deal with it. They're like, I have this, but I don't want to deal with it. For me, I didn't. I had to remember how I did this, and it was
Yeah.
just a matter of looking again. It's like, how did you do that when you were little? If they weren't real, how were they real? And I figured it out, and I got really deep into the energy work, and I got very committed, and I remembered. So that's how I got back to where I am, where I can see these beings. It's just it's here, not the two eyes. It's here. When I was little, I couldn't tell the difference between the third eye and the two eyes.
So
Yeah.
they try to drive that out of us as kids in this world, in this system, when kids have imaginary playmates. But the reality is, they're real. They're very real. They're just, non-physical. But I do think, too, this is part of going into the Bronze Age, now that we've left the Kali Yuga in the dark. So, in case you didn't catch when we talked about that before, we got from the guides that eclipse April 8th last year, 2024, marked the end of the Kali Yuga, and the beginning of another Bronze Age. And there is going to be a period of transition. So, it's going to take a while to get rid of the rest of the system, so to speak, that's been in place, but it is inevitable. So we do think there's light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, it's still going to take a while in the big scheme of things. But at least, I do think that there's more than hope. So it's just a matter of cultivating that which will help us to refine our abilities, because there's so much evidence, even when you look at it from a physiological standpoint, second chromosome fusion, you could see so much quote unquote junk DNA. Again, they've done their best to keep us operating on as little bit of our potential as possible. But it's not going to stay. So we're going to be able to blossom, and gifts like Cindy's, I think, by the time we're towards the middle or end of Bronze Age, I think it'll just be what pretty much everybody's operating on.
Mm-hmm. Just
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
conversation with everything. Yeah.
As you were talking, Mike, I was seeing in my third eye, I call it my mind eye, that we're crossing a threshold. As
Mm-hmm.
you said, we've ended one, going into a new one. And those that come into this realm in those periods of threshold changes, it's something you're going to carry with you to the other side. People, other spirits will be talking to you and say, well, what was the experience like? Did you see it? Did you see it from that big perspective? Because when I watch y'all's commentary, it's interesting because there's obviously so many changes that are taking place. What do your guides tell you? Do they give you guidance as to, is there more chaos that is to ensue? Is this the natural process of one system changing to the next? I think it's deeper than just one system. This is almost cosmic. And
Mhm.
in Bible school, I was taught that in the spirit realm, nothing happens here physically in the physical realm unless it happens first in the ether, and that there is this control system over us. And when we see reverberations taking place in the physical realm, government changes, religion, perspectives, etc., that this is a result of something taking place that most humans are not fully aware of. So I'm just curious, from y'all's perspective, do you see that, or how do you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going on so many different densities, dimensions, so to speak, as well as in different places. Like one of the things that we've shared is when remote viewing the world itself, we're only really on about 20-25% of the planet. Our what we perceive as the whole planet is just about a quarter of the real planet. We're kind of in a quarantined area, and it's our frequency that keeps us, in that quarantine zone. So, the way to pass beyond it's to raise our frequency up, and then the veil, so to speak, there will raise, and we'll have access to a whole host of other beings that are here with us. So when they say, like, a lot of the UFOs, UAPs, they're not necessarily from other planets, other star systems. Yeah, it's true. A lot of them are here, and they've been here the whole time, but they are kind of hidden from us because of our frequency. And the Earth is created from Tiamat. Tiamat was the original planet, which was destroyed by this control system's, ultimate dark masters or archons, however we want to look at them. And so there seems to be some sort of cosmic agreements in place, because these reptilian, draconian energies have also said, no, it's part of our tradition. We were here, that type of thing. So it seems like some agreement was in place to allow the lower frequencies to exist in maybe a quarter of the planet.
It's because Earth is not going to tell anyone no. She will make a home for anyone who chooses to come as, however they are. And but she's allowed to protect herself and have this quarantine zone. So it's up to us to raise up in frequency to have the rest of the planet to be there. If we don't rise up in frequency, we're not going anywhere. We just sit here until we do.
This conversation and is leading me. Did y'all ever watch any of what is it, the Yellow Rose of Texas, and her videos?
No.
So check her out on YouTube. So something that she was saying about 7, 8 years ago was that there was this war taking place, and she was showing pictures from Sechi. I did a lot of that satellite isn't even working anymore, but it was very apparent that our telescopes were picking up something that they would never tell you in NASA. They weren't going to ever see it in Science Daily. Um, and I can't help but not think that um, the changes that we're seeing, is this reflective of a change that's happening, what I would say, in the cosmic realm?
Mm-hmm.
Unseen beings, they're intelligent. They're highly intelligent. They just don't have our frequency that allows us. And I like how you said we're in a quarantine zone, so we're looking for the antidote.
Right.
Yeah.
It's within us. And what I see in the political arena moving forward is it's going to be a little bit like a bull in a china shop. It's going to be a bit messy. There's going to be movement.
I just don't want to clean it up.
No, I know. Stay in our own lane. Keep our side clean.
Knee deep over there.
Yeah, I definitely see movement forward. Unfortunately, I see it through the masculine side, and it's not taking enough of the feminine in with it. But we are going to move forward. It's just going to be tough. We need to watch out for ourselves and take responsibility for ourselves, because that's where our power lies.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. It's going to be messy and bumpy.
Yeah.
But it's also inevitable, and they know this. And so what we've gotten too for information is that, the cycles of the yugas, you have a dark age, then you have a bronze, and then silver and gold, and then it goes in, it goes in the reverse order again. The
So are
Earth,
we moving forward or are we moving backwards on that
we're
scale?
moving up.
We're moving up.
So,
okay.
Yeah,
all right.
we're on that ascending path. And since Earth was reborn from Tiamat, it's now 3 full cycles are completed, and we're on that beginning of the 4th cycle.
Is that going to be the reemergence of the feminine?
Oh yeah, that is it. Because when you get to a golden age, it's really much more that goddess energy dominant.
Yeah, yeah.
It is. And just think about this: how they've kept the mother from us.
Mm-hmm.
You do have the Shekinah in the Hebrew tradition, but for the most part, and you have again the Catholic Church will put Mary up there, but you don't have it's not a yin and yang type of balance. It's not that dynamic balance. It's still a very, very imbalanced system and way to think, and they've done that purposely, because they have intentionally cut us off from our mother, because you can't knowingly poison your mother like we do all the time. But then they're so good at infiltrating the left, infiltrating the right, putting some doctrines over here, some ways of doing things over there. That's going to make it so anywhere you look from either side, there's still going to be problems that side's creating. But they can create it in such a manner that, we all have our things that are number one on our priority list. And sometimes people, if one issue is whatever it is, whether it's the environment or whether it's, cheap energy, that issue will be predominant. They use that to keep us divided, and keep us just fighting. As long as we fight each other, they'll be able to just stay hidden in the shadows, which is what they've been doing.
My whole world changed when I had that visit with Lilith. And so I find myself now reaching out uh, with my spirit, to that goddess. I was brought up, it was strictly the patriarchal doctrine, and which is a complete absence of the matriarch. There's no mother there.
No.
They invent one, but it's not her.
Mm-hmm.
And that, if there's one thing I can say from 50 years as a practicing Christian, and 35 of those years in deep study, Bible study, schools, churches, etc., they did a good job of removing the mother, the feminine, completely. And what they left of her, they cursed.
Mm-hmm.
And here I sit now and realize that paradigm, that whole thing just fractured, and that's what happened in my life. You had to begin to rebuild the pieces. Um, but I hope that that's where we're heading back to, because it would be the desire of my heart to see her return to her rightful position and see humanity once again give that which she is rightly deserves of, our love and affection and attention. But maybe that's my prophecy of the future. So there you go.
Love
Yeah.
it. Love it.
Yeah. Again, they take a movement or what we know that we should be doing, like, restoring balance, and then they swing it, totally in the opposite way. So, at least everybody, for the most part, the vast majority of people, I think, are waking up at least to some degree. So
Yeah.
paradigms are shifting, and, everything that's happening, it kind of has to happen because the system, has to go. And we have to come up with complete alternatives that will restore balance and harmony. And, it's all based in that, instead of Darwinian competition for resources and only survival of the fittest, it's totally looking at it from the bigger body picture. All the cells need to work together to maintain homeostasis and, support life in the body as a whole unit. It's kind of crazy to think of liver cells battling with heart cells, battling with lung cells. No, that's just stupidity to think in that terms, but that's how they have us operating, competing against each other instead of working together.
You know what humanity needs is about 1 million of us replicating y'all's energy, and we just spread it across the world. And, because we really only know about 25%. And think about it. It could begin part of that change because I tell you, and again, I love the fact that, this is the first time you've done a live show, and I'm sitting here in awe because what I am seeing, and I hope the audience is seeing, hello, everyone in the chat room. It is going by a pretty rapid pace. Um, is I'm witnessing a dynamic of energy of two individuals that are such a gift to humanity because there's not enough of y'all. That's
Thank
just
you.
all what I got to say. And it's just, yeah, it's a true delight and a real treat. It's
Thank
like having
you.
an ice cream, snow cone in the middle of August,
With, without the guilt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's nice.
Free, of course, not any of the dyes. Yeah.
We do work with some extremely gifted people, and what I find time and time again is they don't see their own abilities. They don't see their own power. So, I will tell them, I will say, you are incredibly gifted. You just told me so many things. And they'll just say, yeah, that's nice. Thank you. But, they don't believe me. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of people out there that are not able to bloom. So we have a lot of flowers. The flowers are kind of being subdued. And when a flower isn't blooming, you don't yell at the flower. You take a look at the soil,
Yeah.
take a look at the soil. There's something in that person's life that is keeping them from blooming, but they are extremely gifted. So I do enjoy, I can't say I officially do mentorship, but I do enjoy guiding people and showing them their power. So we're working on making
Now,
replications of
can
us.
people contact you and engage y'all and whether it be needing healing, um, Cindy, with your gift of with the being able to see into the ethereal realm. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of our day job.
That's our day job.
Okay.
So
Yeah. I love it because it's a gifting, and giftings only work if there's reciprocation taking place. Yeah.
I had a little bit of a rough go when I went through my Kundalini awakening because I didn't have a mentor. I had no one to really help me. Mike was able to guide me energetically, and he helped smooth out a lot. However, I didn't know the ins and outs of anything, and I did have a couple of very wonderful, beautiful people step in and give me a little bit of mentorship. So I'm very much self-taught with everything I do. And
Those make the best teachers.
I hope so. I hope so.
It's a fact.
I'm all I got.
I had a fifth grade teacher, Miss Buttons, and I lived when I was with my father down in the Texas Gulf Plains. Hot, hot, hot. Anyway, I was a gifted student, and so when school let out, she said, "Well, would you come back the next day and help me out?" And she was well in her 60s, as I remember her. But we were sitting there eating lunch, and she said, Wayne, you're a smart kid. And she said, but I'm going to tell you something, and if you'll carry it with you, it will pay dividends. And she taught me, she said, always remember an ounce of common sense will outdo a pound of book learning any day. So you got a 16-to-1 ratio there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what words of wisdom. She had to be one of those guiding spirits that I didn't realize that that's what she was, because many times teachers in those situations They're more than just the teacher.
Right. You know, one thing that I learned from this mentor that mentored me just this much, it really helped me because I'm dyslexic and I really struggle with reading and absorbing. It's so hard for me. But she told me, she said, the dyslexia is not a curse. She said, you see things from another dimension, a different dimension. And so many people out there are dyslexic and they're seeing things from another dimension. And I was just talking to Mike earlier, and sometimes I'll blurt something out, and people are like, "Where? What?" You know, somebody made a comment one time that said, "What did they say?" That I keep the ADH people on target because I say something and they're like, "What?" You know, but it's because I see things from, maybe it's the sixth dimension, you know, maybe it's the fifth dimension,
Well, what
maybe
it is, it's the Autobahns, Cindy. They're in the right-hand lane going 50. You're in the Ferrari going 180. Because, you drop it in and they're like, what? And you're
yeah.
already gone.
And here I am thinking all these years that there's something really wrong with me. You know, I have these mental disorders. I have a ton of diagnosis from different doctors, and the doctors, I've even had doctors come together in big meetings trying to figure out my mind. There was nothing wrong with me. I am not broken. And I like to teach other people, you're not broken. You're responding to a very sick system. So
You're making me think now that, so if you have a group of the population that actually is seen into the other dimensions, the ethereal, the astral planes, um, it would become very different, suddenly unsettling, that they're immersed into where other people can't. They can't access that. The doctors, the theologians. And you're right. So they then become the outcast, the odd ones, which in reality they're really not. They're seeing something more than what the average human can perceive.
yeah. Right. So that little bit of information, when she told me that, then I'm like, wow, I'm proud of myself then. You know,
Yeah.
this is what makes me different. I'm okay. So other people, they're responding to a very sick, twisted system. There's nothing wrong with them.
Mm.
Look at the system, and anybody would respond. People would be extremely depressed, very lonely, feeling disconnected, you know. So that's, I find
It's more than a message. It's a lifeline of hope.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah, the
mean,
systems always work to, suppress people that actually have gifts,
yeah.
because it's a threat to the system itself. I mean, they used to put advertisements in the old papers for full frontal lobotomies, hearing voices, whatever,
Yeah.
full frontal lobotomies the cure.
Yep.
They'd done tied my ass up and and already lit the cork, so to speak. But yeah, but it's so true. And even as the audience I see here, and this is a gifted audience. I mean, here, this, that we call them our soul tribe, and y'all are, well, you've always now, but you're now officially into the soul tribe. So welcome. You passed the
Hooray.
initiation well.
Thank
So
you.
it's like, um. But the two of you, I think you're going to probably get a lot of inquiries. I really do. Because I can tell you the thing that and it's difficult. With the Wi-Fi and everything else that we're now immersed into, our physical brains having to endure all of this, electromagnetic chaos and soup, it has an effect on us spiritually.
Yeah.
And if you're not grounded into that wherever you are and what you believe in, then you're going to be basically whipped down the stream, and it's going to be very difficult to hold on. Y'all represent that tree and that river that allows the people to come up and hold on to and eventually write themselves out of it.
Yes, that's the thing. I want people to find themselves and then move on. You know, I
There you
think
go.
what makes us good healers is we actually heal people. They come to us and they find a semblance of love and trust, and they know the world is not super horrible. There's good people out there. We give them the tools and on they go. So I think that's how it should be.
You know, the gift of healing and healers themselves, if you study history and human history, um, you know, I'm drawn back to my Bible teaching, but they had the well of Shalom in Jerusalem, and as the story went, I think it was right before Passover, the angel would come down and stir the waters, and anyone who got into the water, that when the water had been stirred, was healed. You've got the Oracle, the Delphi. It was about healing, healers. And if you look at the Hindu culture, the Native American cultures, the shamans, the medicine man, medicine women. In times of Europe, we were called the pagans. You were called witches. You know, yeah. I'm glad to see this because I think this is a message that needs to go out to more because there's many people who's listening to this. You've got the gift of healing yourself, and or as Cindy, as you said, another gifting.
Yes.
Yeah. Stop hoarding it. You know, pass it around. Don't bogart the thing. That's all I got to say. You know?
Yeah.
Oh man, this hour has just literally flown by. We've got to do this again. Can we do this again?
I would
Sure, we'd love
love to. I am so excited to do this again. I can hardly wait.
Okay, good. We got to because this there's too much. You know, this is like, you know, you meet someone who you got to know in a different way than the person face to face. And so when you do meet them face to face, and in this case, even in a virtual reality, um, you realize it's like a family. It's like, you know, well, where y'all been? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
That's
feels good.
that's how I feel about it.
It definitely feels that way. So yeah, we'd love to do this on a regular basis.
That
Yep.
sounds like some fun. And you know, we're going to have a discussion. And no, y'all ain't invited. I'm sorry, but I can dare tell you that the conversation after we go live is going to be just really far out. So stay tuned. I just want to thank everybody out there again. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up. Make sure if you're not subscribed to Mike and Cindy's channels, then make it part of yours because that again that gives you good karma. You know, and there's nothing wrong with having karma, good karma in the bank. I'm just saying, you know, rainy days. And support them. This is a lovely couple. We are blessed to have the knowledge and the gifting in our circle, and it's like the inner circle. So, why don't you two tell everyone where they can find you, and we'll wrap it up in that direction.
Okay. Well, as far as like reaching out for any sort of sessions, it's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com. We do put all the info for our sessions on every video. So you just click that little more on any video and you'll find the info there. Evolutionary Energy Arts is the first channel that we do have on YouTube. We also have EE Arts. That was the backup channel when they were trying to get rid of Evolutionary.
Yeah, they really came after y'all.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
They did. It was just constantly one strike after another. As soon as I get off of having two strikes down to one, they pull another video from whenever and give me another strike. So, and then we made a third channel called Heart's Own, throwing a H in front of the EE Arts. And that's all spiritual. So it's spiritual, it's mantras, it's meditations, it's my own guitar work that I do too. Ambient, meditative, good stuff to fall asleep to or just relax to.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And by the way, all their information is listed in the description box as well. All right, Cindy, tell us. And you see, it was really easy. I mean, you know.
It was fun. This was a lot of fun. I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
So,
it was visiting
thank
family.
you.
That's what
it was
it feels
visiting
like.
family. Everyone in the chat are so beautiful and so kind. And Wayne, thank you so much for everything that you've contributed for humanity because you were a big part of me sitting here too. So
Wow.
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. You're right. People have a hard time talking about their gifts, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
when you take compliments, it's like, okay. It's
Yeah.
like, you should be going, thank you very much. Come on, come on, come on, come on, bring some more on.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we send you love and favor. Thank you all. Thank you for all of you who've come over from Mike and Cindy's channel and probably never been on this one. We just say hello to you, and it's actually a good place to come back and hang out as well. We are going to do something more. This is the dynamics here. I think it would be one of those, rude things saying, no, thank you. We don't want any kind of good stuff coming our ways. But, it's like, yeah, yeah, give it more. So we're going to do something. Mike and Cindy, much love to you. We're going to get together some more, and thank all of you. We'll see y'all tomorrow. And remember to laugh. Laughter doeth the heart
Yeah.
as a good medicine. That's all I got to say
Much
about
love.
that.
Thank you.
All right.
Namaste.
Namaste. Peace.